Hello everybody, this is Chad Kazran. You're listening to another broadcast of Covert Reality, and this is going to be a very strong episode because we are at really trying times right now where the power entities that have been using nothing but deceit to rule us are all about trying to take us over, no matter what happens with the public, or what the public might want, or who votes for who, and what the majority might want. It doesn't matter anymore. This power system wants to literally just take us over. And now a lot of us have known this for a while, that there is a fight to, look at what kind of power resources we're going to be using in the future and who's going to be controlling them. So we're at a very interesting time. And I thought to myself, living in Cambridge, Ontario, or Cambridge, or Galt, Ontario, to be precise. It's Galt, Ontario. Again, Cambridge, Ontario is a corporate name that came in, forced into amalgamation in 1974, or in 73, sorry, right before 1974 for the private banking system to come in. So again, amalgamation was forced in, but what I found out the other day I thought was very interesting was that there used to be about 815, I believe, somewhere around there, 814, 815 representatives or people within the municipalities. It's kind of like when all the small towns went to municipalities. I just want to say this right, so I'm not saying it the wrong way. That before amalgamation happened, there was 815 different cities, towns, separate places. And so before the private banking system came in, they forcibly got rid of or condensed down smaller communities that, like us, Galt, Preston, and Hespeler. They rounded those three cities up and made that into Cambridge. So that's that, and they've done that all over the place in Ontario. And what the neat fact is that they had 815 to start off with, different little places and stuff that had their own municipality of control and whatnot, that was underneath their own townships. But again, in 1974 or 73, amalgamation happened, and it brought the number down to 444 different places that would bring in money and be called a corporate town, corporate city, instead of a bunch of individual towns, which would represent the amalgamation in 73. Now that happened all across Ontario. Isn't that interesting that it was 815 and it's down to 444? What makes it more interesting is that was the number in 2010, but it was said in 2010 that number was going to be a frozen number at 444. So, why would it be frozen at 444 and never change? It just seems to be very weird to me. Just found that out the other day. But so I'm talking about Southern Ontario here, and how we are married pretty much with the United States policy. We pretty much dip right in. We're actually more southern than a lot of United States states. So, like Vermont, and we are actually dipped in even lower than Minnesota. Michigan, even. There's parts of Michigan that are more north than where we are in Southern Ontario. So, we have a lot of weird things happening in, Michigan, the Flint with the water. There's, that's where Michael Moore is from as well. But I guess, I just want to really bring into play here something very, very serious. Everything that is on this program is serious, but this is a different kind of serious. This is a warning and a SOS, a red alert. This is a broadcast that should be taken very seriously and shared everywhere. Because in Ontario, we are being included as, for instance, it was just in the paper the other day, or on the news, CTV actually is one of the most biggest propaganda machines that are really steering up, policy steering people into believing certain things that only fits into, policymakers' pockets, or people that are corporate entities that want to remain in power, that will, literally want to just kind of take us over and not want to care about anything. And now there's got to be different reasons why they would not want to care and not want to. I'm kind of sounding a little weak at this point of my description. I do understand. That's what I'm feeling right now anyway. But what I want to do is I want to just cut to the chase. CTV put a news article that Hydro One, which is Ontario's hydro grid, is compromised now because of Russian hacking. This is at the same time that I had thought before that they were going to be having Syrian refugees come in and fluxing in, or making up a story that there was a big flux. But they wouldn't be having, they'd have some legitimate refugees come in, but most of them are going to be causing some problems. And I believe I do have a good, keen sight on what's happening here, because I've known that we were going to be, that Ontario or our power grid here could be compromised somehow, and we blamed on Russia. I remember saying that a long time ago, that on other broadcasts, that there was that they might blame it on a Russian missile or something hitting us, and then the power would go out or whatever. But now this is what it's going to be, I guess, blaming it on a Russian hacking thing, which is total garbage. Because in the write-ups, the CTV write-ups, they mentioned that Russia was responsible for hacking the DNC, and that's totally garbage. That's been proven to be absolutely false. We here in Ontario, we have to understand that we've been controlled to a degree, that we're in a situation now where we have cell towers around us, cell phones, all of our data and our locations are marked. The smart meters and everything keep us all these are all weaponized, very surveilling type systems that have us now in a situation that when the power goes out here, and they're threatening that the power's going to go out here, and we got to stop this. So we're really trying to counteract this by getting the truth out. That this is a fake false flag that CTV has now gotten themselves involved in. By mentioning Russia being hacked to destroy our power grid here is absolutely ridiculous. So it calls them out as being very, very, very deceptive. And because what I do understand is there's a big flux of mostly military-aged men that are being, and there's some women, but I think they're just the hardcore girlfriends of the men. But there's about 5 times more men than there are women, and they were literally, I guess, I don't know if this is true, but apparently in the last month, Obama has been bringing in, he's been bringing a lot during the last while, but especially in the last little while, he's been bringing in way more refugees to cause disturbances before the inauguration of Donald Trump. So it creates problems. So it could be stated as a national emergency, and then Obama would still be the person to be the prime minister still, or the president of the United States. But what makes it even weirder is Obama is literally believing he's the UN head, or he's been appointed as the head of UN or something for this area, for this whole continent. This is getting creepy. They're making all sorts of weird things happen here. At the same time, they're blaming Russian hacking. This is creepy because I always thought that they were going to do something here in Ontario and that we were slaves to a power grid, and a lot of people don't even see through it. But when the power goes out, they got it almost set up here. The roundabouts are almost all set up. LRT is almost completed. They're working on that quite a bit. This is so they can get people to if the power goes out, that they'd still have systems operational to keep things running and to move people. At the same time, we got all sorts of weird, creepy things going on here in Cambridge within our city hall, and the administration here in Ward 4 is making all sorts of weird moves where they seem like they're getting ready here for something to happen with the security fencing at the armory put in last year, civil unrest fencing around their armory, is right beside a bus terminal that they just a few months before that had installed a sign that says evacuation zone. Has a evacuation area, and it has, little white 4 heads sitting there on the sign. So it's like evacuation area for something, So they've been preparing for something, and I always wondered what that was. So I put out a video online, and you can check out on YouTube there as well, on my channel, Covert Reality, a video that has signs of preparing for civil unrest in Cambridge, Ontario. That's getting a lot of views now. I'm really excited. It's not a lot. I mean, for me, I'm not quite used to. I'm starting from the ground up with Covert Reality on YouTube because of 100.3 FM literally pushing me off the airwaves, because I was calling out that there may be Syrian refugees, that some of them will be bad folks that are going to be coming causing problems. And then, ta-da, they make up a story about Russian hacking. But what I feel is what's really going to happen, and I feel this with my intuitive gut, and I want to stop this, because this is really important. This is why I want to make this broadcast, was initially on this point, was that if the power does go out, the media here is trying to make it seem like it's Russia that did it. So if the power does go out, everyone's going to immediately think it's Russia. But I do not believe we're going to have Russian troops coming in here doing anything to us at all. Russia is not involved whatsoever. What I do believe is Obama's brought in, and Canada has agreed to bring in refugees, even though France and other Western civilizations have been literally torn apart and distraught by this tyranny. And so we have to wake up to this, and I got a feeling Ontario and Canada, this was always set up in a long time ago, to bring people here from all over the world, to make it a peaceful country, so everyone would come here. But then people come here and they exchange their, they think that they're free, but really look around you now. Like, is there any way you could possibly go without power anywhere, unless you have a solar system or a solar power unit and clean water and the accessibility to it? But when they're spraying the sky so much, we've got nanoparticulates everywhere. Everyone's being totally quiet about it in the media and all around the administrations. Even the biggest whistleblowers on record that are got the biggest viewer audience are not talking enough about geoengineering and the spraying of our planet. Like, we understand that the military just wants to keep their power going and to keep their operations going without losing what they have. So they're using whatever they can to manipulate the public. And CTV works alongside, and that's their main thing, right? CTV, CBC, these are main war propaganda European embodiments. I'm not quite sure if CTV is, but I'm just imagining it is now, because if they're going to be doing this, and they've always been lying. We had another false flag here at Ottawa, and there's a lot of fishy stuff even with the truth movement with this. People in the truth movement were saying, no, that definitely was a real shooting. There was other pictures, and yeah. But I never saw any, like, they're showing other pictures that there was a real person shot. The Marine, I guess, that was shot on Ottawa grounds, Ottawa Parliament Building grounds. But I couldn't find anything at all. And I wasn't there, so I'm not going to say it didn't happen, because that's kind of my rule of thumb. But when I can see other things going on where I feel like, okay, there's got to be somebody that took a pic. Somebody had to have some other pic, or at least something out there that shows that the person that got shot in Ottawa was literally a legitimate person. It seems like the person that was laying there was either a dummy or a guy just sitting there, and they weren't even really doing proper resuscitation. It looked like they were like crushing the guy's arm and like just looking around just to get a photo shot to make it look like it was somebody. And he was kind of lying beside the monument, a big stone monument, and you can't really see him anyway. So there was no other picture whatsoever besides that angle. And I thought, okay, this is fishy. Like, there's got to be some other angle of a picture somewhere that would show, that would prove that it's a real person got shot. But there was nothing. So, a truth movement moves from here. They go to, they go to a different spot, so not in Ontario anymore. And now we're here in Ontario with all this garbage. CTV was involved in that lie before, and this truth movement lied about, what really happened is a deal, I believe, and this is what I believe, I honestly do, because my intuition feels strong about this, that some truth movements, they get too big, they get warned by the local police and military, whatever structure, to say, hey guy, we'll give you a free ticket, get out of here, we're going to be causing havoc here in the future, we'll just make you, understand, if you understand through this and see this, we're going to ask you to stop putting pressure on us here in Ontario. We'll go to Vancouver and pretend Toronto doesn't exist. That's what I feel, pretty much happened, because that's what I see what's happened on the outside. So I'm just going to guess that on the inside something like that happened. And then so now we're here with Covert Reality is, I guess, grown to be the independent news place for here, and a few others that were on local radio stations. But I'm just really disgusted at local radio in the FM dial, because it's all federal. And they really do, they really honestly do, when you're working in radio, when you try to fight against anything inside or try to use moral conduct, when you're being harassed and you put in a letter of a harass letter saying you're being harassed by someone and you want to make it a thing, and all of a sudden when you put that letter in, things get even worse. Believe me, if you're a good person, and this is why things need to change. This is why media is stuck with a really huge ultimatum to either come clean and start serving the people, or you're going to lose everything. All your credibility is lost at this point. I was doing a show and I got told that there's two reasons that were totally legitimate things. There were warnings to the public about what was going on around us, and to have a 3-month suspension makes it clear to me that something was going to happen this year. So I couldn't be spouting my mouth off, because I was literally calling it out before it happened. And it's not no big deal. It's not any big deal that we call it out before it happens. Because if you're just someone that looks at the steering wheel of this game from the beginning, or from at least, put a good effort into it. As I'll say, there's other radio show hosts that have said, or other show hosts that have said that, that they spend 16 hours a day, 18 hours a day. That is no word of a lie. How much hours we put into thinking about what's going on and what we can do. We do. And I remember a point in time, and I still do it now. I get a little bit more sleep now, maybe about 16 hours a day. I'm thinking about how to make this world a better place, because I see through what's going on. And it's not just about, it is about picking up garbage and being good that way and helping your neighbor. But what I mean is this: knowing what controls you, knowing what surrounds you, knowing how it's being, look at the choices we have. Are they healthy? Are they not? Look at the ultimatums, or the choices we have in our local paper. That's literally not giving us anything of freedom. It's just reminding us of oppression every single week after week after week. 3 papers a week of entire oppression. I just can't even keep up with Cambridge Times, reading through the Cambridge Times segments on Covert Reality YouTube channel. It just gets me angry all the time, but I feel like now I'm caught in having to keep the public up to date somehow in a video format, so people on the outside of Cambridge can see how Cambridge is being run. When we come back after the break, I'm going to be breaking down a little bit more about how we should maybe prepare in case something does happen, if the power does go out. We need to be thinking about that. So we'll see you in a little while, a couple minutes. And we're back here at Covert Reality. Thank you very much for listening. We are, I should say, living in one heck of a time. So I just want to, first off, give everybody a round of applause, or if everyone could just kind of push your hearts into a glowing mass, so we can all connect together right now, and give ourselves a great pat on the back for being a part of this amazing time, because when things go down, we need to just understand what's happening. I believe fully that if we don't stop this lie, hey Albie, if we don't help this, if we don't expose this now as much as we possibly can, I honestly believe, as a citizen of, I don't even want to say a citizen, as a Mother Earth protector, and even on Haldeman ground here, on the Haldeman tract, Mohawk territory, it's very amazing how, the whole principle of protecting Mother Earth is being ultimately destroyed by the exact place I'm living at. There's so many different companies within Ontario here too that are also part of military operations in a big, massive way. And it's with all the technologies going on, microwave switches or just power in general, smart meters and our cell towers, they're all weaponized systems that do nothing for us. They destroy our natural frequencies. They mess with them. They manipulate us. They can make us do things that we wouldn't regularly do. So welcome to Ontario, and this is what this segment's about. So what I want to do is make sure that if the power, we want to make sure that maybe, hopefully, what we do here can be shared all over the place. Please, if you want to just pause it now and just take a second to share this link all over the place, please, to your fellow neighbor, to your police, everywhere, because we need to really stop and counteract this. Now, this puts me up in a situation where I could be martyred out. I don't want that to happen. I'm not calling for anyone else to be hurt. I just want to let everyone know that I'm seeing a flux of people that are around 19, 20 to 22, 23, 24, 25, and 5 or 6 guys hanging out with the same hoodies on. Not exactly the same, but they're all brand new. They're all hoodies, Adidas hoodies, and then brand new shoes, brand new hats. They're all backwards, but they're all from some other place. Now, this is what's getting to be, confusing, because in the photos or videos that you see online of supposedly a recent flux at the Mexican border of amazing amounts of what it seems to look like South Africans or Africans and Muslims. And I'm not saying that Muslims, because they're in there, they're all bad, but this is what I mean. It's like, any other race. Like, when you put infiltrators into a bunch of innocent people, then and the innocent people don't know the infiltrators are there. Like, the innocent people could just look at next to their neighbor next to them in line, thinking, okay, we're all on the same peaceful journey here. But when the peaceful people, like at G20, a lot of them didn't know. Like at all the G20, pretty much G20 Pittsburgh, Toronto, these places and everywhere they go, set up a system to literally, there's so much damage control, I'm trying to say, that these people put out. And at G20, they literally hire these infiltrators to go and smash up stuff and make a good movement into something that looks bad to the rest of the public. So all the people that just sit at home and they're, they don't have any time at all to even think about what's going on in politics or what's going on in our world governing system or what's controlling them. They don't have time for that. So they will trust the news, or they will trust the whatever's out there in the mainstream. So this is a big segment here on Covert Reality that I want to push through to everybody, is that we need to change our media. We need to talk to our fellow neighbors in the media establishments on that their time is done. They've done enough damage to our perceptions. And so what I want to say on this part of the segment is for us to be ready, because I think the power may go out unless we share this video and get it out everywhere. Or share this dialogue, because I know it's not much of a video. I don't really like to have my face. I'm not discouraged. I'm not embarrassed of what I look like. I just don't like to have my face as a part of a broadcast, because it's about the message, not about the face. I've always believed that in music. I always believed that until the end of time. So I appreciate you listening, because if the power does go out here in Ontario, you can be rest assured that police are not going to do anything about it unless there's a militia group that will help us. So I'm really wanting to get into some sort of counterintelligence areas around here and talk to people, because it's not fun knowing that this is about to happen, and most of the public are just in the dark, believing that Russia is going to be the one that hacks us. Give me a break, man. Russia is just trying to, actually the Grand River Mohawks and Russia have both the same belief system and it's called the Great Law, or the Turo Wampum. And they both go with the Great Law. They both recognize the Great Law and the natural law. So that's one thing I find is that there's another demonization of a nation that doesn't deserve it. Welcome to the way we've been governed in the last 70 years. And I hear that the New World Order is something that's not just coming in now; that it's been something that's been going on since 1950. I don't know if I mentioned that on another segment, but I guess the New World Order came in 1950. That's when it really started. So because they had the power to manipulate the atmosphere with ionospheric heaters and weaponized frequency systems, So I'm just that noise you're hearing. I play guitar while I just have it on my lap here. So I'm sorry. Sometimes I take my hand off the guitar and I forget that it's plugged in. So I'm going to shut that off now. And so what I want to say was, I shouldn't have even mentioned that. Maybe I'll click this part out because it takes the integrity out of what I'm trying to say. But when the power goes out, I want people to understand that the people who are listening to this, tell your most loved ones and your trusted friends, and the friends you love, tell them that they should probably get some extra water and food right now. They should find other ways to kind of maybe hide out. If the power goes out, a lot of people are going to be running to for help. And this is going to bring in some sort of massive UN, United Nations front to sort of try to take over us, okay? Because this is what I've been trying to uncover for a while, and we're just trying to keep up with it, that the North American Union was supposed to be put into play where Mexico, Canada, and the United States would be married together into the North American Union, similar to the European Union. This is a fast version. And they're all failing, and they're falling apart, and rest assured, that's great. But I really hope that the Secret Service and the militaries all over the world are really serious about peace, because all I'm really reading about in old documents is ways to cause major destruction to pretty much regain power. And if this is all we're really underneath, is a bunch of people that are just living their life to look forward to gaining control, to manipulate other people into gaining control again by causing chaos. If that's what you're about here, and you're literally among us, and I just want to say that we're not trying to hurt you, man. So you're going to have to maybe try to find a way to find an inner heart in yourself, man, to say, you guys could turn to heroes and stop this, be the first ones to come out and say, look it, man, we need to stop this. And you be a bigger hero, and we could live in better, peaceful, beautiful times. And you could be rewarded by gratefulness and gratification and dignity and respect or goodness. But instead, you want to be just filled with money and power and manipulation and all this stuff. So what I want to say before I wrap this up here is that Ontario, Canada, the world is going to find out soon that we're a part of this hacking Russian. It's not even Russia doing it. It's a false flag. It's total garbage. Russia are our friends. Who are not our friends are the a lot of these groups that I'm not gonna racially demonize anybody here. Yeah, there's all sorts of people and all sorts of different races where they use infiltration to get their agenda through. You can plant some bad-minded, some people that had it rough in their life that have no problem going out and murdering a bunch of people. They get the free ticket out of jail, and they get to go out and do all these things. But it's a deal made by the police 99% of the time. Whenever something like the people standing at the intersections, at the Delta Highway 24 and 8 and 24, very busy intersection. Lots of different people from all around Southern Ontario use that intersection. And guess who's there? A bunch of, just recently, the last couple of years, a bunch of, I guess, down and outs standing there asking for money. Now they're going to each door of people, just like in Toronto with the squeegee kids. It's exactly what's happening here now. And so I feel like the police actually drop these people off, give them free tickets to go do that, just to kind of let the public know that, okay, things are kind of getting bad. And it gives the police and all that and the military even more power to kind of step in and pretend they can help out the situation. I hope everyone's understanding what I'm saying. I know a lot of you people obviously do, because you're friends of mine, or you're either someone that's been investigating this stuff for a decade. That's how long I've been doing this for. I'm not just trying to say that. I just find it interesting when you think about it. It's been 10 years now. So yeah, the reason why we are all set into doing these kind of programs is because there's people that do understand what's going on and we care about everyone else out there. And so I'm just going to say this, this latest CTV announcement about Russian hacking could jeopardize Hydro One. It's a total fabricated lie. If the power does go out, they're just trying to make us believe it would be Russia, but it's not. This is a setup. SOS, red alert. I want everyone to send this out to your loved ones and let them know, because if you're in southern Ontario, this CTV fabricated lie is a definite lie, because it's already been proven Russia did not have anything to do with hacking the DNC. That's been proven. So this CTV article, and I don't even have it in front of me, but it mentions that right off the get-go as an example of what they've already done. And they haven't even done that. They haven't even done any sort of manipulation in the United States election. So there's no way that this is going to happen here, because they're blaming a good person that's literally combining with Donald Trump and a bunch of other nations to bring peace and abundance of growth. And the power structures don't want that. So all the power structures that are together to knock us out are the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Hydro One. Hydro One is doing nothing. They were criminals from the get-go. So you want to say that Hydro One may be compromised by Russia? How about this? Hydro One may even do this their own selves, because they just are in a bind now, because the United States election brings about all sorts of trickling that will bring a lot of pressure on these people here in Canada that are literally using technology against us. And that's why they're actually going to be trying really hard right now to fast forward everything, while our Ward 4 council members here are associated with Knights of Malta, which have military oversight and no oversight from other nations, which is creepy to me, because Ward 4 is also talking about cybersecurity. They got cybersecurity offices and a place that they're going to be right beside a suspected, a Dunfield theater that has a underground bunker that has 6 to 8 feet thick doors underneath the stage. What the heck is going on here? Why would you need that? Why would you need 6 to 8 foot doors? They're doing all sorts of pushing the agenda to get this an interesting pathway from the city hall to this area is being redeveloped. So I believe there's underground bunkers and tunnels ready for something here. While the crap hits the fan here, people are ready to take off. So we need to call this out. And when the power goes out, I don't want everyone to just kind of run to help or safety. I think the best bet is to just be very ready, have enough water and food that you can eat, dry food that you can eat when the power goes out. Remember, the power will go out. So if it does, you have to be ready. So go out and get your nuts, peanuts, get peanut butter, get everything you possibly can. But I would focus on water. Water is going to be your biggest thing. You could be having a lot of food, but without water, you're really not, getting that real filtered nutrition in to break it all down. So don't forget about your water supply. Do remember to up your immune system, get rid of aluminum and radiation out of your body, and you can use liquid iodine to get radiation out of your body. I use Genestra brand, Genestra. I use that brand of iodine, and that works fine. I think that works really well. And I use chlorella and other heavy metal detoxes to get rid of heavy metals from my body. The nanotech is a little bit more connected within us, and that's another side of it, nanotechnology. Please Google that. Welcome to the future, and I will recite what some people say. It's not Kansas anymore. It's really true. I think there's a lot of us out there speaking the same language, and we just want to wake everybody up. Love everybody out there, and all the best, and please wake up everybody. If you're listening to this broadcast and you know someone in administration that is going along with this, you tell them that we need to stop this. We need to recognize what total freedom looks like and stop oppressing us here in Canada, especially in Ontario. It's really bad. I mean, it really is. The way you guys got us with cell towers everywhere, cell phones, that's all we have here. It's all it is. Hydro smart meters. We were literally bullied into keeping our... Even if we request the analog meters back, we have to pay a fee for that every month. It's just... Anyway, yeah, so we're governed by bullies in Ontario here, and now the Hydro One, which were bullies and criminals in the first place, are now a part of a false flag. I've already sent messages out to CTV via Facebook. 3 or 4 different tags went out today or earlier this morning or last night, I think, that called them out as being accessory to false flag and asked them to retract the message, because they should. And hopefully something trickles up. So just want to get this message out here. This is really important. Please share this everywhere. And check out Covert Reality on YouTube channel, and hopefully future will bring in another radio program. But at the same time, we have the power to take things on our own before the power goes out. So this is a red alert. I was looking for something to come along that would explain why our armory here had civil arrest fencing put around it just a couple months after an evacuation sign was put up behind a bus terminal. And then a few months after that, in the fall, a big tank, which looks quite operational to me, boasting a war of Afghanistan from 2001 to 2014, is sitting out front of the armory now, which was never there. So a lot of weird things have been happening here in Cambridge, Ontario, Galt, Preston, Hespeler, the origins. So let's rethink amalgamation, folks. Let's get the Bank of Canada reinstated, and let's take our power back. Thank you very much. This is Chad Kazarin for Covert Reality. Enjoy your day.